Ayo, what's poppin', fam? YouTube, it's your boy. You already know. You already know. It's been a little bit, but I got some content I want to dive into here, so let's go ahead and talk about something, right? So, Destiny 2. Destiny 2. You know, um, for some, might not know, I was a huge Destiny player. Used to play Destiny 1. I was a Destiny 1 beta player, Destiny 2 beta player. Um, Came over to Destiny 2, rocked it out for a little while, and I ended up leaving, wow, like shortly, I want to say shortly after the Pit of Heresy came out. And I don't know, it got too expensive, you know, like each expansion gradually going up, and then you have to pay for the season passes. And got to the point where, man, not everybody is able to just shell out $100 a year for just, I'm just gonna say it, for nothing. Literally nothing. Like, granted, we get a little bit of stuff. We get like a campaign, usually short. Most of the campaigns, especially now that I've come back, most of the campaigns, real simple. Like, knocked them out on Legendary with one buddy of mine. No problem. Right. Because I've been back now for 2 months. Picked up all the content. And when you really do the math, and there was a video I seen a couple days ago where the guy kind of broke it down and was like, you shell out everything roughly equivalent to like $750-ish with tax. And Destiny's supposed to be a free game. But what nobody takes into consideration is when you really dive into Destiny 2 as a free-to-play, there's no content. You have no content at all. They've gotten rid of the campaign. You don't have the original campaign anymore. It's not there. Right? Some of the planets are gone. Like, a couple years back, you were able to go to places like, oh man, I don't even remember the name of the places. That's how long it's been. But there were like certain areas you can go to that were pretty dope places. I would usually go to them just to do dailies and stuff. But you can't go to them anymore. They're gone. Titan was one of them. It was an actual like social area. You can go, pub events would pop up, so forth. Now, Titan ain't shit. Titan's literally just a salvage mission area now for this season. And it's kind of sad, Like, for most of us who bought this game when it first originally came out, it was a normal price game. So, about $60, $70. And the deluxe edition was like $100. Whatever. And it came with a season pass with the deluxe edition, which was including a couple of the expansions. We reached up to, oh man, I'm dating back a while, so if my timing is off, forgive me. But if I'm right, the season pass is covered up to Shadowkeep, I think. I believe it was Shadowkeep. And, I mean, after that, come on. Like, we can go in here right now and go up here. I believe it's right here. Yeah, right here. So we tab over. We can see that Destiny 2 originally started with our Red War. Right. Then came the Curse of Osiris. Okay, never mind, I take it back. It wasn't Shadowkeep. But, yeah, the Curse of Osiris came out. And then the Warmind. Right? Then you had Forsaken, which I think that was the last expansion for the season pass, if I'm right. Shadowkeep then came out and basically gave us our seasons. This is where seasons initially started, right? Followed by Beyond Light, and then the 30th anniversary, which we'll talk about. The Witch Queen then came out, which most, from what I'm hearing, usually say that was probably one of the better of the campaigns. And then to where we are currently at with Season 2, which is Season of the Deep, right after the release of Lightfall. So, what you don't know coming into this game, especially if you're going to download it and try to play it for free, is you don't have anything. Like, you'll make your character, and you'll go through, I believe, just like an introductory. I believe I helped a buddy out go through it. And you basically go through a little bit of the Cosmodrome. That's about it. And then they just kind of like throw you in. Like, he went directly from doing the Cosmodrome missions to doing the introductory mission for Lightfall, which was fucking weird, right? Like, it was really weird, because he doesn't even own Lightfall. So it brought him through that like introductory mission, and then that was it. It like locked him out at that point. I wouldn't let him move any further because, of course, he doesn't own the content. So if you're a new player, that sucks for you. Just saying. But if you come all the way down here, hold on. The servers are absolute dog shit. So give it a moment. So Lightfall right here. As you can see, I own everything. But we're gonna break it down, right? This was like $60 version or whatever, and this $100, right? $100 here, just between this, because this came with the annual pass. This is the regular expansion. So this was 100. This was your normal 60. Then you have the Lightfall Dungeon Key, which just came out this season. This hides your dungeon that's supposed to come out, right? Which we just had that dungeon come out. And just for the sake of, I'll go ahead and open this up, right? So you want to do the dungeon, come over to the helm, and here it is, the Ghost of the Deep. You need to pay $20 to get that key if you didn't purchase the $100 version of the Lightfall to get the key with the annual pass, right? So this one dungeon so far, $20. All right, so let's dive back into the store, right? So as we make our way back down to the store, here's Witch Queen. I believe this is like $40 now, and then you have a Witch Queen key, which the Witch Queen key alone is again $20, and the Duality and the Spire of the Watcher dungeons are locked behind this $20 key. Okay, that's 2 dungeons locked behind it. Which I want you to remember these keys too, right? I want you to remember these keys because we're going to talk about them here shortly after we get done here, right? Then you come down here, 30th anniversary pack. let me show you what the 30th anniversary pack has. Right here, Eternity. This is it. You have the location of Xur, which isn't the same Xur that shows up once a week, right? You come over here, and he basically has an event that you can do right here called the Dares of Eternity. It's short. You play with randoms, or you can play it on a higher difficulty with people, and it's basically just you spin a thing, it chooses a random enemy that spawns, you fight that enemy, do a couple things, and then you move on to the next area, and so forth and so forth. It's the same rotation. It's okay. I've played a little bit of it. It's alright. It's kind of fun. You're basically doing all of this to please a spectral unicorn. I didn't create it. Sorry. I when I seen it, I didn't know what to say either. So, if you've never seen this, yep, unicorn. And then we got the Grasp of Avarice, which is a dungeon. Right? That's all you got. That's all you got. And that was a $30 expansion was for this. The 30th anniversary was like a $30 expansion. And you got a dungeon, one game mode, and the ability to go see Xur, who gives you bounties to complete while doing this game mode. And you also get bounties from the horse, who has certain things to drop. Like, for instance, if you come in here, you have, if it ever decides to load, I don't have any on hand. So, you'll get strange keys. Again, like you would have gotten the strange keys originally from Destiny 1. And you get some other stuff. It's all whatever. But yeah, that was the $30 equivalent. Right? So let us keep going. Okay? So then let's go back down here. As you can see, the servers take fucking forever to load anything. So then you have to Beyond Light, Shadowkeep, and Forsaken. See, these three right here, if I'm correct, these three, I'm not sure about Witch Queen. I think there's a bundle now where you can get all three of these for $40 or $50. You can get all three of them. Or you could have been one of the people who bought them originally and paid $50 to $100 per. Okay? So we're going to just go ahead and bypass the bundle for the moment. And we're going to just mention how each one of these was roughly $100. And I say that because with the $100 version, you would get the Season Pass or Battle Pass, right? And that was if you wanted it, obviously. So we're just going to go with that, alright? Normal versions for like $60. Alright, we'll just say that. So, here's 100, here's 100, here's 100. That's $300 right there between 3 expansions. Here's another 30. That's $330. You come over here to the Witch Queen Key. That's $20. Now you're looking at $350. Here's the Witch Queen, another expansion. Now you're looking at $450. Okay? Here's another $20 right here. That's $470. And then you have the Lightfall with annual pass. We're not going to count this one because this is just the regular version. This is the one with the annual pass. So that's another $100. That's now $570. Roughly. For all of this. Right? So if you were a new player and you were wanting to dive in and you wanted to pick up everything, okay, you're looking at, if this is the 3 that I'm thinking of that are in the bundle, you're going to remove $300, it's just going to be $50. So you're going to go So that's 50. Here's this 80, 100. This is 200, 220, 320. Now you're looking at 320. You're looking at shelling out $320 as a new player if you're just getting into the game to do anything. Anything. It's not free to play. There's nothing free to play left in this game for anybody wanting to play this game free to play. Your free to play is literally going into the tower and dancing because that's all you're going to do. There is nothing. And you can't even afford an emote if you're not paying for these contents. You don't even have any emote. Like, your most emote that you're going to have is the basic stock ones, and I think that's like wave, salute, and that's it. You're never going to be able to dance. You're going to be so poor being a free-to-play player that you can't even afford to make your character dance. Alright? That's how bad it is. You wouldn't even be able to dance. Okay? So, we continue. Now, each one of these has a season pass. Right? Which you'll see right here, season 21. You have your free track and your paid track. If you date this back, I mean, granted, you don't get shit on the free track, right? In the very early stages, you're like, oh, look, I get certain things. I get some nice stuff. Oh, then the later you go, it's like, hey, I get at least a couple of things. And then you look down here and you notice you get your ornaments. You get some emotes. You get these. You get these fucking golf balls. That the only way to get these golf balls is doing like Grandmaster and Master content and having the luck of the RNG Leprechaun give you the ability of luck to actually obtain one. Right? Or, if you can find a way to cheese certain bosses in dungeons on Master, then you can just farm that out until Bungie's like, oh, wait, you're having fun? Hold on, let's go ahead and nerf that. We can't be having you have fun, right? But as you can see, here's another golf ball. Here's another golf ball. That's 3 golf balls right there, just towards the end of the thing, right? That's 3. And those golf balls are usually used to upgrade your gear, right? So that's what you're paying for. But, now, here's the kicker to this. Okay, I came back last season, which was right up here for this war table, right? Which we're going to go in there right now. And while we're loading in to the helm, this war table is essentially where you go for, it's basically a vendor, right? You're going to have your basic vendor leveling up system like you would have on Banshee, for instance, who's the gunsmith, or Zavala, who handles all the Vanguard stuff. You're going to have your basic level ups over there, right? And you level up by completing objectives or bounties, and you get rewards along the level up track. Okay? Now, we're going to go over here first, alright? Because this is what we had last season, was right over here. Okay? Now, it still exists, but as you can see, I came in, I'm at rank 15. I've already reset it over, because once you hit, right here, once you hit like 16, and then you hit 17, you can then prestige it over. As you can see, I prestiged it once, because I honestly didn't give a fuck. But you had this. You had upgrades for the last season, right? And as you can see, these gave you bonuses into your drops for the season, okay? You couldn't upgrade this at all. You couldn't buy any of these upgrades without the season pass. You couldn't even access the Ingram decoding or any of this without the season pass. You could not participate in the entire season And that's Battlegrounds, which they had at that time. You could not participate with that at all without the season pass. Now this season, we got fish. We can go fishing and insert our fish right here. And that includes purple, exotic, blues, and greens, right? Come over here. This is our new one. Okay, same thing. Same exact thing minus the upgrades. Doesn't matter at all because it still does the same thing. If you don't have the season pass, which the season pass is this right here, this. If you don't have this seasonal track, you don't get to do anything along with your seasonal challenges. You don't get to do any of these. You can't do anything in the season at all. So when it comes down to being a free-to-play player, what do you have? Again, nothing. All you can do is stay at like 1600. You can't level yourself up because when I tried to level myself up, every piece of gear I ever picked up was 1600 and refused to go any higher. So you're looking at a free-to-play player not being able to do shit, right? You can't. You have to spend money in order to even remotely do anything on this game. Now, I said before, I wanted you to remember about the keys, okay? These keys, well, as you can see, we pay all this money and they can't even make things work properly because as you can see, my hunter's chest is completely gone. So that's a thing too that's been going on. But anyway, so these dungeons, they have certain types of gear, right? And of course, there's exotics in these dungeons that you can have randomly drop with RNG chance. But outside of that, the best gear you can get in the game is Artifice. Now, what Artifice does, I mean, it's not the greatest, but for people who want to min-max and want to actually do their thing, you get, like, if you look here, you'll see I have the 10 resilience mod on here, okay? Artifice gives you the ability to put 3 extra points of any of your stat into here outside of the 10 that you'd be able to. Granted, some will say, who cares? It's only 3 points. But if you get a piece for every piece here, of course you're not going to get one in the exotic slot. So if you get 4, that's 12 extra points you're getting. That 12 extra points can actually be useful in helping you get double, sometimes triple 100 stats, right? And that could help you out a little bit in the game, you know, because it'll give you some extra bonuses. Like, for example, if you have 100 on your resilience, you get 30% in damage reduction, right? Mobility. I'm at 94, so I'm only in the the tier 9. But at tier 10, you'd get a 40% increase to your base movement speed, right? You get things for reaching, you know, all these attributes. But as we continue, that's all locked behind a paywall of $20. You have no access to that at all. You can't access Artifice gear unless you do these on Master. And that's the new one, the new dungeon. That's Spire the Watcher. That's also the other one as well that is Duality. Grasp of Avarice, the one locked behind the 30th Anniversary Edition. That's another $30. That one also has the ability to drop Avarice, or, Artifice gear, right? So you're looking at, if you want to do all the dungeons so far as all the new ones, Avarice, you're looking at think Prophecy was one of them, but I don't think Prophecy was part of the keys. So if you want to do Avarice, you want to do Duality, Spire of the Watcher, or the new Ghost of the Deep, that's 4 dungeons right there. 20 for Ghost, 20 for Duality and Spire, that's 40, and then Avarice, 30. That's $70 for 4 dungeons. $70 for 4 dungeons. Okay. Now, when we talk about monetization, I'm sorry, but this is fucked up. It's fucked up. When you look at this from outside the box like this, that's fucked up. You, as Bungie claims that this game is free to play, technically you can download it for free. You could play the introduction of it for free. But if you're going to do anything outside of that, you need the expansions, because all the pre stuff is gone. Literally, it's gone. Like, if you look at the director, Titan's gone. Majority of the stuff is gone. Nothing's here. You don't have anything hardly anymore. You go to Dreaming City, but nobody's going to Dreaming City, right? You go to Nessus. The only reason you really have to go to Nessus, especially now, is for the fishing, or if you're going to go see Xur, if he's located there. You still have the moon. You have the Cosmodrome, which came back. The EDZ never left. You also have now Savathun's Throne World, which is part of the Witch Queen campaign. Europa is over here, which is the Beyond Light campaign, which is a complete frozen over snow map. Neptune, which is the Lightfall campaign. So all 3 of these are all DLC maps right here. All 3 of these, right? These, Eternity is a DLC map from expansion. Dreaming City was part of one of the expansions. I forget which one it was because it's been a long time, but that was part of an expansion. But you know what you have that's from the early game? Like like Red War era? You have the tower. You have the EDZ. You have the moon and Nessus. And if I'm right, the moon wasn't even added in until, what was it, Forsaken? I don't think we were able to do anything on the moon until Forsaken. I think that's when it came back. I believe. I could be wrong. Like I said, it's been a long time. Forgive me. I was in college at the time when I was doing most of this stuff, so I had a lot more other things going on my mind for me to actually remember back then. But I'm pretty sure the moon came in with one of the expansions, right? But you don't have anything else. You don't have the Tangled Shore, where you had Spider anymore. That's gone. Titan is absolutely gone, except right here. You can go to Titan by doing a salvage. That's all you can do. Or do the deep dive and go and be on Titan. But it's not the same because it's literally just a mission, right? What's nasty is you pay all this. And there's a reason why I mentioned all these pricings, right? You pay all of this. And you're expecting them to use this money as upkeep for, their servers, to keep everything going smooth, right? You expect to see, for a live service game, you're expecting to see, awesome new things coming out. You want to see new things. You don't see new things. Most of the content they throw back out at us are reskinned. Like, right now, if I go to the helm and I hover over this deep dive, right? It says you dive into the dark waters of Titan, the methane sea, that swarmed around Titan, right? And then as you get down to the bottom, you basically do a bunch of stuff, then you end up fighting a boss. The boss, the boss that is down there, we have fought that same boss and killed it 5 times. 5 times now. In different scenarios. We have killed it 5 times. When we talk about reskinned bullshit, that's what we mean. The guns, for example, if we go in here and we go into our collections, right? The weapons. It's disgusting how I'll just use hand cannons, for example. Look at this. Look at them. This is literally how they look, right? Like, this is literally how they look. They're literal reskins. Like here, we'll just use Better Devils, for example. Look at the actual, like, detail on it, if it ever decides to load. Because, you know, slow. See it? See how long that takes? Right? You see that, okay? You come over here to the True Prophecy. Okay? If it ever loads. Come on. See? Same model detail. The Recluse. This gun, you had to go through competitive PvP to complete a quest. You had to max out your competitive PvP in order to obtain this weapon, right? And granted, at the time, this weapon was absolutely broken. It was so good. To me, I believe it was like the real start of the SMG meta, and a lot of it was for this Master of Arms. Kills with any weapon, improve this weapon's damage for a short time, right? Any weapon. Didn't matter. This thing would just, it was a laser beam. You literally could just murder anything with it. It was great. But now, if you go to infuse it, you look, this season's power cap is 1810. This thing cannot go past 1060, which, I mean, you can get it at 1600. You just cannot push this thing over 1600 at all. It is what they call sunset. You put in the work to obtain this weapon, it got sunset. Instantly sunset. Same thing in here. If you come into the scout rifles, right? You had the Randy's throwing knife, which is now back in the rotation of PvP, but you had to put in the work to get this too. And this one got sunset. Just recently got brought back. Pulse rifles. I believe they had one in pulse rifles too. Yeah, the Redrix. That also got sunset. Majority of things you busted your ass for got sunset. Right? Because they were just being used too much. They seen that people were using them too much. Right? So as we continue to sit here and talk about everything, you know, we end up hitting this wall where it's like Destiny wants to be different, right? Bungie's trying to add difficulty to the game, but it's inflated. It's highly inflated. And basically what you're looking at is they've done what the Division 1 did when the whole community had a huge outlash and they went nuts. Is because the enemies go from being what's normal and what you feel like you can just burn down to just being overall fucking bullet sponges. And that's not even fun anymore. Like, it's just not even fun anymore. Right? These enemies turn into these bullet sponges, and, like, for example, the new dungeon boss, the final boss, she doesn't even scale down to one person, right? She doesn't even scale down. So if you go in to solo it, she doesn't scale. One person going in there to solo it, you're looking at like 4 and 5 phases that you have to put her through in order to kill her. Meaning you have to go through the entire rotation of doing all the mechanics of that boss fight to get her into damage phase. And then in this damage phase, because they also put a shield over her, that the shield is 600,000 damage by itself. Her health is 12 million-ish. So, in order to break the shield alone, you gotta be able to dish out 600k. Then after you do that, you still have a time frame window where now you have to do damage to hit that roughly 12 million mark, right? And that's so nasty. I mean, you can use Arbalest to one-shot the shield, and then it can lessen down the phases. But like, that's where Destiny's going. It's just everything is bullet sponge. They give you, like, in order to do titles, right? Like if you go into your journey and you go into your titles, okay? Some of these, we're going to use example Ghost of the Deep, right? If you want this Ghost of the Deep title, the Ghoul title, you have to complete all encounters with a full fire team with Solar, right? You have all these other ones, but then you come over here, complete all encounters in Ghost of the Deep dungeon solo without leaving the activity. Okay. Full fire team of Void. Right, come over here. Fire team of Solar. Over here, full fire team of the same subclass. Right? But you are forced, if you want to do the title, if you want this title, you have to do it solo. And that also helps increase the drop rate of the Navigator, which is the dungeon's equivalent exotic that, you know, normally you would have in like raids and stuff, which is cool, right? But again, you have to do it solo. So that means if you want this title, you're forced to go solo. Okay? Spire of the Watcher. Here's another one. You know what? Boom. Solo without leaving the activity. Right? You gotta do that bitch solo. Again, without leaving the activity. Okay? We're gonna go over here. Not that one. Where is it? So it's Crucible, King's Fall. There's more dungeon ones. Let me see. Duality. There we go. Duality. Right? Solo. Without leaving. Okay? Every one of these dungeons, if you can see where we're going, requires solo in order to obtain the title reward. Now, granted, I do think if you do it solo, you should be rewarded. I do. But I also think that you should have a title specifically for doing it solo. If you've done it solo, you should be able to have your own title. That should be what the title is. For anybody else who's gone through it and they've done everything else within the requirements, they should be able to get the one title. There should be separate titles. That would give the people who have actually done the solo, that would give them the ability to then have even more of a bragging right, because they have a title that is specifically for them soloing that dungeon, or that, you know, whatever they're doing that's solo. To be able to just say, you know, you've done this, per se, for this title. I mean, you know, it is what it is. I think it's nasty when you have a game that's an MMO, at least they call it an MMO, They want you to work together. They try to influence team mechanics, especially when doing dungeons, right? Or not dungeons, raids. They want you to do and focus on, like, team oriented, like, communicative, um, different things. But yet, everything's tied behind forcing you to do something solo. And there's a lot of people that'll be like, they're not forcing you to do anything. In a way, they are. In a way, they are forcing you. Because if you want something, you have to do that to get it. You are being forced. Your hand is being forced to do something in order to obtain something. Granted, again, if you want to play with wordplay, yes, you technically are not being forced. They are not telling you, you need to do this, or you're not going to get anything. But in a way they are. Because they are telling you, if you don't solo this, you don't get this title. And that's when we come over to here. The new Guardian ranks that they added, right? Like right now, for me, in order to move to 9, I just got to complete King's Fall. It's only a raid, right? It's not a problem. I can get my clan together if I want, well, if they ever want to actually do it. But I believe it's getting from 9 to 10. You got to do a solo dungeon. Solo dungeon in order to move up in your ranks. You know what? Cool. Cool. But again, if you want to do these things, if you want to rank up, if you want to basically do any of this, you're forced. It's literally pushed. They're pushing people to do solo things. I mean, you could play it however you want, regardless. But if you want, again, certain things, you have to do things solo. And that's fucked up. You shouldn't have to. Solo players and people who play this that want to play as a group they should be separated. People who do things solo should be rewarded. They should be rewarded for doing this content solo, because that content is a lot harder when doing it by yourself, right? Because now you're taking the whole burden of a team, especially on mechanics, to do it yourself. Understandable. I think they deserve to have something for that, obviously. But then you take people who are doing it the other way around, and they can't be rewarded at all for doing everything the way that it was intended. Because if you want said reward, you have to do it solo, and that's nasty. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. I don't know who over at Bungie thought that was a smart idea, implementing solo things into actual titles like that. But they're a moron. They're a fucking idiot. And I think that needs to be changed. Right? But, again, at the end of the day, if you're a free-to-play player, none of that matters, because you can't access any of it. You can't. You can't access any of it. And that's sad. That's sad. You have pay-to-win gear. And I say pay-to-win because there are exotics that are hidden behind these paywalls. There are gear types that give you extra stats hidden behind these paywalls. It's not right. It's not. It's fucked up. Destiny 2 took a turn where it's no longer an actual game that's an MMO. It's a mobile game now. I can't even tell you how many times I've logged into the game, hit this screen right here, and got a pop-up, a fucking advertisement that says, hey, you should go to the store. We recommend you buying these for silver. It's fucking, it's so stupid. It's so fucking stupid. Because let's be real, people get kicked off here every day off of stupid errors that cause, right? I've gone into do Grandmaster runs with friends and got to the final boss and got error coded and kicked out. Could not rejoin because it was Grandmaster and had to restart the entire encounter. There are people who have had error codes fuck them out of solo dungeons because you have to stay in there through a whole encounter. But the error code kicks in, boom, done. You're fucked. Now you gotta do the whole dungeon all over again. Right? If you're trying to do flawless runs, if one fucked up mistake happens, because there are sometimes this game will glitch out and enemies will one-shot you, even though they're not supposed to. Or you'll jump to something and your character won't mantle the way it's supposed to mantle, and you'll fall to your death. Random bullshit. You can jump to certain things and your ankles turn into basketballs, and you will hit your ankles on whatever it is, and instead of landing, you'll bounce fucking 40 feet backwards, which is of course an exaggeration, but you'll bounce backwards and die. These things have been in the game forever. And that's not even included some of the other stuff. Never gets fixed. Ever. Never gets fixed. Bungie will disable weapons and stuff if they're too overpowered and people are having too much fun with them and using them to do content in the game and kill things that are bullet sponges with them because they can kill them quickly, instead of having to sit there for fucking 4 hours dumping rounds into something for doing half damage. So then they get punished for using it, and that weapon gets nerfed. And then half the time it gets nerfed to the point where it's not even fucking usable anymore. There are so many exotics in this game that are nerfed to shit, they're not even fucking usable anymore. They serve literally no purpose. People won't use them. Granted, it makes the meta completely keep shifting, but let's be fucking real here, right? You go into the collections, between exotic weapons and armor on all three characters, there is a total of 477 exotic individual items. That is weapons and armor. Weapons alone, there are 108 exotic weapons in the game. Some of which have been completely nerfed down to the ground and are absolutely fucking useless. Armor. There are 40 pieces of armor per character. Okay? Some of these are so fucking worthless and have been nerfed so far to the ground that nobody uses them anymore because they serve no fucking purpose. But if Eververse has a glitch to where it doesn't load, it will be fixed in 5 minutes. They will shut the fucking game server down for Eververse. And for those of you who have no idea what Eververse is, that have never played this game, this is Eververse. Eververse is where you come in here to spend silver and buy emotes and fucking bullshit that are just cosmetic for the majority of the items, like costumes and shit. You come in here and you buy it with silver, right? Silver. If this went down, they will shut everything down. They will fucking call, like, nuclear winter type alerts to shut this bitch down instantly to make sure it comes back up. But if we're talking about, yo, there's game-breaking things, like there's, something going on here that's broken, they won't fix that shit. They'll disable it and fucking maybe get to it like in a month's time. With all the money that people have put into this game and continue to put into this game, you know where it's all going? Their new IP, Marathon. Marathon is going to have dedicated servers. Marathon is getting its acknowledgement now. But yet the PvP players who play the PvP in Destiny, they've been complaining for years that the PvP is trash. They don't get anything. They don't get any love. The fucking people who play Gambit, Gambit's the redheaded stepchild of fucking Destiny. You know what? Nobody fucking plays it unless they're forced to play it. It's the dumbest thing. It could have worked. It could have worked if they actually did some time to it, but it doesn't. Gambit's absolute garbage. I hate even thinking about doing Gambit because of how bad it is. Then you have the PvE people. Some people bitch in PvE because they can't do raids. Why? Why can't they do raids? Simple. Because there's no matchmake. You can't matchmake. You can't choose a criteria. You can't set up a raid team with actual fucking criteria for people to join. You can't type in or set your lobby to a Sherpa so that you're going to go in and you're going to teach somebody to raid. You can't set yourself up to be like, hey, no, I want more experienced people. You can't do any of that. You need a specific fire team. That's fine and all if you have people that play the game. But for some people don't have a full squad to play this game. They can't do the dungeon, or they can't do any of the teammate content. You want to do a Grandmaster Nightfall? Nope. You need people. You want to do any of the legendary content outside of the campaign? Nope. You need a team. You want to do the Nightfall on anything over hero? Nope. You're not doing it. You want to do the seasonal content? Nope. You can't matchmake any of this. Anything at a certain point you cannot matchmake. You need to have friends or you need to use LFG. And before we end this video, I'm just going to say it point fucking blank. LFG for this community is absolute fucking cancer. It is. And I don't care what anybody says. You can sit in the comments and bitch at me and say whatever the fuck you want. I will not change my mind at how the LFG is for this game. Because it is cancerous. People will kick you if you don't have what they fucking want you to have. If you don't have the Galahorn back in Destiny 1, if you didn't have the Galahorn and you joined up and you said, I don't have the Galahorn, you were kicked. Didn't fucking matter. You could do the whole dungeon all the way, or the whole fucking raid all the way up to the final boss. And if they find out you didn't have that, boom, you were kicked the fuck out. You were done. You had to go find another fucking group all over again. That's how toxic these fucking people are. And 90% of the time, they're filled with fucking squeakers who are like 8 years old. And you're sitting there stuck having to listen to fucking 8-year-olds and babysit somebody's kid because you're stuck with an LFG team. It's fucking terrible. I don't recommend LFG to anybody. Granted, I have met some cool people on LFG. I have. But the bad outweigh the good by a large margin. And that's just being real. But this is Destiny 2. This is what it's like to be a new player coming into Destiny 2. These are the things you are looking towards. You're looking towards almost $500 worth of content that you have to purchase because playing it for free doesn't give you shit. As I end this video. I want people to remember when Bungie left Activision and they gave us this whole facade that Activision was the reason why there was so much monetization, and Activision was the reason for all the bullshit and why they didn't have certain things coming out and why nothing got done. And here we are several years later, $3.6 billion from Sony later. I believe that was the price. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was 3.6. Anyway, all of this was just a facade. The whole time it's been Bungie, and we see it now. They're just adding things slowly. Most people forgot about it. Most people forgot that Activision did this. Let's be honest here. It was all bullshit. And everybody on the next expansion will still pay $100 to continue playing it. And Bungie will continue pushing prices like they did, especially for this season, where the season passes for the track went from $10 to $15. They're going to keep doing it because in the end, they don't give a fuck about what their community wants. They don't give a fuck that the community is having fun. They don't want you to have fun. You, as the player, are their little pay pig. And they will make you fucking squeal all day long and give them all your money for nothing. You are a pay pig. If you're buying into this game, you are a pay pig. And you are nothing to this company. It's your boy, Godified. If you liked the video, drop me a sub. Let me know what you think in the comments. I don't care if you put negative or positive shit in the comments. Say what you want. Don't care. I said what I said in this video, and I don't take none of it back. But this is your boy. If you want to watch more of my content, I stream over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Godified with an underscore after Godified. And yeah, it's your boy. I'm out. See you in the next one.